Welcome to Chapter 2. I hope you got to see and enjoy Chapter 1, and if you didn't, please go back and watch it. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Dolly and I headed out of Utah the next morning towards the Sawtooth Mountains. We stopped at a game and inland fishery place and got me a trout license, and then we headed out through a lot of beautiful but flat scenery. We were ready to get to the mountains again and ready to drive some gravel roads and find a dispersed camping spot, hopefully one that I could trout fish from. We had a great time driving all the different roads we went on until we finally settled on a camp spot that was a U.S. Forest Service spot in the Sawtooth National Forest, and it was the Caribou Campground. It was first come, first serve, but we had the place to ourselves. Dolly got settled into camp pretty quick. We got the Harbor Outdoors set up, and the next morning we got up and fixed some breakfast before I went out fishing a little bit.
Alright, well, I already got hung up on one log and watched and lost one fly. And walk up here and see if we can find something different. The water's pretty high, so I'm just going to kind of see if we can find a hole somewhere.
We stopped in to Stanley, Idaho, got some gas and some food at the store to grab lunch, and then we headed down to the Boise National Forest and stayed at Mountain View Campground. This was a U.S. Forest Service campground that you can make reservations or stop in, and we were lucky they had an opening. The view was great, and it was right next to the river. We headed out the next morning, drove through Idaho City, Boise, and up to Ontario, Oregon, and then began to cross over to the state of Oregon to meet my brother, who was at a BMW motorcycle rally near Redmond. I'm not sure what I expected, but I did not expect Eastern Oregon to be flat with some ranch lands and slow, high grades. And then as the trip went on, turned into almost rock-like canyons. The scenery was beautiful, just not what I expected. Gradually, we got back into some wooded and pine forest and crossed over some mountains. The plan was to stay in Pine Valley campground for the night before heading up to meet my brother. We made it to the campground. It was really nice, and it was on a big resort lake where people do a lot of boating and fishing. After we got into the campground and set up camp, Dolly and I decided to walk around, check out a few of the paths down to the water and around the side of the lake, and grab a couple pictures. The next morning, Dolly and I got up early. We left Prineville Campground and headed up towards the Bend area to meet my brother. We caught up with him on the highway and we headed south towards California. This concludes Chapter 2. I hope you'll join us for Chapter 3. And please like and subscribe.